Hello my beans and nuggets, welcome back to my channel. It's me, your girl Jasmine, back at it again with yet another video. For today's video, I'm going to be swatching and reviewing for you guys the new Patrick Ta blush palette. I know I'm a little late to this, but just forgive me, okay? I actually received this from them, but that will not change my opinion. Okay, but I did receive this from them for free, so I did not have to pay for it. However, I purchased the holiday palette from last year, which is now like they don't have it because it was limited edition, but they do have the individual shades from the palette last year. So I was like really intrigued by this palette, but I was kind of waiting to see some reviews, and the reviews were so mixed, let me tell you. And so I was like, I don't know about that. And then I was like, okay, if I'm gonna get it, I'm definitely gonna get it during the sale, so that way I'm not paying full price. And then they reached out to me because I do work with them quite frequently, and they sent this over, and I was like, yes, finally I can try it out without busting the bank, or whatever it's called, breaking the bank. I have dyslexia, whatever. So if this is a video that you're interested in, then just keep watching. So this is what the palette looks like. It has kind of like a matte finish versus last year, which had the traditional packaging that most of his products come in. And a lot of people, I think, were complaining about fingerprints. Honestly, I don't care. I touch my makeup all the time. I'm constantly using it, grabbing for it. Yeah, I mean, if it has nice packaging, it's obviously like it has nice packaging, cool. But if it, you know, if it collects fingerprints, I don't really care. So that didn't really bug me, but if that was something that bugged you, this now has a more matte finish and doesn't collect as much fingerprints, so keep that in mind. But this is what the inner palette looks like. Let me lift up this lid and show you guys that there are 3 shades here. The last shades right here, the highlighter is giving glossy, the middle one is giving sun-kissed, and then this one is giving flirty. Those are what these shades look like. Obviously you can see I have been digging into this palette to really, you know, test it out and give you guys my thoughts and opinions. So I will say the palette last year was super pigmented, and I think a lot of people had issue with that. They're like, this is great for the people that have darker skin, but for the people that are super pale, this is way too pigmented. So I think they took that and they were like, okay, we need to make a palette that's a little more subdued for them, so that way it can work for them. And I feel like that's what this is. I don't know how well this will work on darker skin, if I'm going to be honest. I run more like light, medium, neutral on the skin tone level. Sometimes leaning more towards medium when I tan, but I found that this palette definitely suited my skin tone well. I did not find it was like overly pigmented as it was last year. I still love that palette though, like don't get me wrong, it was stunning, absolutely beautiful. But I will say it was definitely pigmented. And the thing that really intrigued me about this palette was the highlighter, because they've never come out with a highlighter. So I was like, ooh, a highlighter from Patrick Ta, okay. Now this, the balm is just like a clear balm, and I was like, okay, nothing special about that. I've already tried millions of those. I really wanted to try this, so let me go ahead and swatch these for you guys so you guys can see. I'm going to swatch the cream shades for you guys first, and you will see what I'm talking about when I say like these are definitely much more toned down. Of course, you're not going to be able to see the clear gloss because it's clear, but you can see these really pretty. Those are the cream shades. Okay, let me go ahead now and swatch for you guys the powder shades so you guys can see that. I will say it's like the tiniest bit powdery, like a little chunky, but you know, it's still pigmented, it's still pretty. Okay, so here are the shades, the powder shades. So honestly, it's a really pretty palette and I love it. And I feel like it's great colors for me. I love that it has like a baby doll pink, a peachy pink kind of shade, and then also a highlighter. I did not have any issues when trying to blend these out. I found that this palette was really pretty. Like I said, the only thing that I really found with it was that it was the tiniest bit powdery. But besides that, overall, I think that this is a really decent palette. I would say definitely try to get it on sale if you can, because these can be a little bit pricier. But overall, I really like this palette. I think that this suits my skin tone beautifully, and I'm not mad about this palette. I think I would not have been mad even if I purchased this with my own money. I don't think I would have returned it. I think I would have kept it, honestly, if I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm not sure why so many people were like hating on this palette. I mean, everybody's different. They have their own opinions, which they are entitled to, but my opinion is I really enjoyed this palette. I didn't really find any issues with it except for the little bit of excessive powder, but what product doesn't have that? You know what I mean? So it is what it is. And I like that you are getting 3 powders and 3 cream shades. I don't know if they will do the same thing again this year, where they will take these individual shades and then make them their own duos, because usually I think what they've been doing was they've been kind of testing the waters with that a little bit, and they put them in palettes first to see how people like them, and then based off of public opinion, then they're like, okay, they like it, let's make these individual shades. So I know last year everybody was like going nuts for that palette. It was selling out left and right, and Sephora's just could not keep them in stock. And they eventually made those individual shades because people were like, bring it back, like I missed the palette, you know. This hasn't gotten the same reaction, unfortunately. Bummer for them, because I really like this palette. I really like the shades. I think the formula is just fine. So I don't know, we'll see what they do with these shades, but I really like them. I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to try out this palette. It is definitely a palette that I have been using like every day, which is really nice, because that's what you want with makeup. You want to be able to use it constantly, and I find that I keep coming back to this palette, which is a good sign, because if I try a product and I just leave it, that's usually like not the greatest sign, because it's like, did I really enjoy that palette or makeup product, whatever it was, because I just used it once and never touched it again. But this I constantly use. So that is my thoughts and opinions on this palette. If you have this palette, definitely let me know. I also don't know if there was maybe a production issue with this palette, and maybe some people just got a really good batch and then some people didn't. Couldn't tell you, but I personally did not have any issues with this palette. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I constantly go back to it. I like it a lot. I love it. I'm gonna be real with you. I love all Patrick Ta products. I have not tried a single dud from them. I don't want to jinx it, but yeah. But I definitely want to know your guys' thoughts. I love you guys so much. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.